Hello, friends. This is Scott Monty. Stand by for commentary.
Welcome to the Full Monty, where you'll be exposed to commentary and analysis from the week's digital news. You give us 15 minutes, and we'll save you hours. And now, here's your host, Scott Monty.
Hi, and welcome to the Full Monty, an audio companion to the newsletter of the same name. Each week, I pick a couple of the more pressing issues and inject insight, opinion, and wit into this 15-minute show that's sure to give you a better sense of what's affecting the industry. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't, but I hope it makes you think. This week, the leadership connection with emotional intelligence and discerning specialists from strategists. The link between emotional intelligence and leadership. Have you heard of the term emotional intelligence? According to a Dictionary of Psychology, 3rd edition, emotional intelligence is, quote, the ability to recognize one's own and other people's emotions, to discriminate between different feelings, and label them appropriately, and to use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior. The 4 key elements can be understood in a shorthand version: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness or empathy, and relationship management. Self-awareness means having realistic self-confidence and knowing when to rely on yourself versus the team, as well as knowing what kinds of things set you off. Self-management requires you to keep those emotions in check and to let others know what's wrong and provide a solution. When you're truly listening and you can pick up on visual cues others are giving, then you have the tools to act with empathy or social awareness. And finally, effective communication and being a team-oriented individual will help you with relationship management. So, what does emotional intelligence have to do with leadership? Everything. Ultimately, leadership is about getting along with other people. The business world functions because people, colleagues, employees, customers, suppliers, work together. Ideally, much the same could be said about government. Negotiation, haggling, sales, setting vision, strategy, and goals, and other key business functions require us to collaborate and interact with others in a constructive way. Leaders that exhibit emotional intelligence have an easier time accomplishing goals than those that don't. A leader without emotional intelligence is simply a boss, and there are stark differences between bosses and leaders. A boss drives others. A leader coaches them toward their best performance. A boss instills fear. A leader inspires enthusiasm. A boss blames others. A leader works to help repair the damage and understand what happened so it won't occur again. A boss thinks in terms of him or herself. A leader thinks in terms of we. A boss knows how it's done. A leader shows how it's done. A boss depends on his or her own authority. A leader depends, along with the entire team, on mutual accountability and trust. A boss uses people. A leader is interested in helping them grow and develop. A boss takes the credit. A leader gives the credit to others. A boss is a commander. A leader is more concerned with asking and listening. The boss says, go. The leader says, let's go. Even if you're not off the charts with your EQ score, there are ways to improve your emotional intelligence. If you notice the elements of emotional intelligence I just mentioned, listening is a key aspect of 3 out of the 4. If your role requires you to be in the public eye in any way, and that also includes in front of your employees, you can get feedback pretty quickly. Anonymous surveys from employees and public reaction on social media, including tweets, commentary on your company's Facebook page, or commentary on a video. These can all indicate how people are feeling about you, or about your statements, or your position. In short, if you're intent on becoming an emotionally intelligent leader, there's no excuse to be ignorant of your surroundings. While the access to more information and instant feedback, not to mention the presence of internet trolls, can give us more insights about where we need to make changes as business leaders, it won't fundamentally change your personality. You've got to want to do that. That is, if you value how you're perceived as a leader.
Get your trivia skills ready for the Naked Truth.
This week's Naked Truth trivia question: who's the only actor to be nominated for an Emmy for the same role on 3 different TV shows? Answer at the end of our show. And now, page 2. Specialist versus strategist. You probably know your fair share of specialists. You know, people who have a fine-tuned skill or some knowledge about a market segment, who can walk you through all of the particulars about a platform or a tool. Specialist is even part of many people's business titles. These people are valuable. They grasp the details, and proficiency in execution is what busy executives often need. But don't confuse them with strategists. Strategists may have a more fundamental understanding of some of the details, but they perceive how the pieces fit together from disparate functions and areas. The strategist can look above the clutter and make sense of an overall program, integrating the tactics that specialists execute. But there's a distinction. A specialist is an order taker. A strategist is an advisor. A specialist can tell you lots about just one thing. A strategist can find the intersection of many things. A specialist knows the next development in their area of expertise. A strategist spots the trends based on pulling together disparate information that might be outside of a domain of expertise. Strategists have probably spent time in their careers as specialists. Specialists are usually less broadly experienced. In the end, we need both specialists and strategists, but we also need to know when it's appropriate to engage each one. This week's poem is The 4 Ages of Man by William Butler Yeats. He with body waged a fight, but body won, it walks upright. Then he struggled with the heart, innocence and peace depart. Then he struggled with the mind, his proud heart he left behind. Now his wars on God begin, at stroke of midnight, God shall win. For our trivia question, we asked you who the actor was who was nominated for an Emmy for the same role on 3 different TV shows. Kelsey Grammer played Dr. Frasier Crane on Cheers, Frasier, and an episode of Wings. Grammer won 4 times for his role on Frasier. Good God. We're doing something here on the Full Monty. If you have an editorial that you'd like to contribute and have us read on the show, please get in touch with us at fullmontyshow@scottmonty.com. If you like what you heard here, please consider becoming a patron of our show and show your support at patreon.com/ScottMonty. And please, leave a rating or review for us on iTunes. It would really help us out. Be sure to check out other major stories from the September 29th edition of our newsletter. Americans' trust in media is at an all-time low. Last year, 40% trusted the media a great deal or a fair amount. This year, it's down to only 32%. It was a big week in autonomous driving. Uber's self-driving fleet debuted in Pittsburgh. Ford demonstrated its self-driving cars in Dearborn. Ford and the University of Michigan announced a new robotics laboratory. Volvo produced an autonomous SUV, and Velodyne announced a smaller, higher-resolution sensor. And finally, Apple CEO Tim Cook is more excited about augmented reality than virtual reality. He says it's nearer term and it's less isolating. Well, that's it for this week. With any luck, your brain's a bit bigger now. Thank you for making me a part of your week and for being exposed to the full Monty. Until next time, I'm Scott Monty, and I'll see you on the Internet.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the Full Monty newsletter and this program at fullmontyshow.com.
I'm surprised this year's Emmys didn't award Donald Trump's campaign Best Reality Show.